If you happen to know or have spoken to any real councillors, you will know that their job is not only incredibly difficult, they do long hours, they have meetings throughout the day, um, and none of it they get paid for. There is this real misconception that they get paid. They do not. Councillors do not get paid. Yes, they get expenses, but it's not like, they can just go, oh, well, I'm going to pay myself from that expenses. You can't do that. You can only remunerate yourself, as they say, when you've spent something in the job. Maybe you've traveled somewhere for your specific councillor role. Then you can get paid on for that travel. Other than that, that's it. It is a very tough job with, well, let's face it, sometimes, as you may have seen, if you ever dip your toe into local politics, a very thankless job. And those people that do it do deserve a lot of credit. However, a lot of these reform people have no idea about local politics, never really been in a position of power, never even had the responsibility in many of these cases. And unfortunately, now we've got to turn to Nottinghamshire for two reasons. First of all, the new leader of Nottingham City Council hasn't seen his family in weeks, as we'll find out in a moment, but also confirms the existence that I've been talking about in every single one of these videos, that there is this unit down in London that is going to be pretty much controlling all these reform councillors. So you haven't so much as voted for a local council team. No, you voted basically for puppets that are going to be controlled by Farage from his office in London. Not only that, but council staff in Nottinghamshire have been reportedly in tears because they are going to end, or at least apparently they are about to end, work from home practices. I don't understand why they're going to end these things when they've proved to be very successful, very popular, and have shown no drop in productivity from these, that they claim that it has. But anyway, let's get into this then, shall we? So before we start, of course, as always, please do remember to click the like, share, and subscribe button. Down below, of course, there is the Patreon page as well. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can also buy me coffee with the buy me coffee link as well. There is the YouTube thank you button as well down below, and of course there's the YouTube subscription too as well. We call the Pony Club, and like I say, I make a video every week for all the Patreon and the Pony Clubbers as well. So thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel. And of course, let's crack on then into this, because oh my word, coming from Nottinghamshire Live, Nottinghamshire reform leader hasn't seen his family in weeks. Anyway, so Mick Barton has now got a lot on his plate, saying, I'm sure it'll slow down at some point. Oh, no, it won't. Nottingham, or at least Nottinghamshire Council, is one of those places that is in a danger zone when it comes to its funding and potentially going bankrupt. Now, there are reasons because of that, and it has nothing to do, well, not too much to do, shall we say, with the council or the previous administration. It has a lot to do with, of course, bad investments that have been made in the past, and of course the fact that they've been denied funding for 14 years by a Tory administration. Will they admit to that? Many of these people, of course, were ex-Tories. Will they ever admit to their mistakes in austerity? Of course, absolutely not. Anyway, it continues. Having, of course, been just officially confirmed to his post, Councillor Barton had already said he'd had a taste of what he criticised as the Punch and Judy politics of the county council chamber. Aside from the theatricals of the council meeting, Councillor Barton is now trying to find his feet at Nottinghamshire's biggest council. The new leader is now responsible for an authority handling an annual budget of over £600 million. Vital services relied on thousands. Good luck. He's had no experience in this role whatsoever. He's never had this type of responsibility. But Councillor Barton is currently juggling all those responsibilities alongside his existing role as a Manfield District Councillor and his day job running Mansfield Carpets and wood floor business. Anyway, when asked how he has found the task so far, Councillor Barton said he was extremely busy. I've not had a minute where I've just been juggling my day job, and obviously we've had meetings at night, like branch meetings, and we've got community meetings. I'm definitely, quote, enjoying it. I'm sure he will be saying that in a month's time, where this basically has not slowed down. He said, I'm sure it will slow down at some point. No, it won't. No, it won't. That is your job. What do you expect it to slow down with? But we now need to obviously sit down after today, and we need to start doing the job we've been employed to do. My family, daughters, and grandchildren haven't seen me for the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure I'll get time for that in the future. Every single councillor out there is literally doesn't understand the job he's been signed up to. Guarantee it. But I've been put in this role, and I will take it very seriously, so the job comes first. Councillor Barton was, of course, announced as Nottingham Council's first county council leader by Reform back on the 12th of May. He was officially sworn in at the party's first full meeting in charge on Thursday, the 22nd. The appointment came now following some confusion when Nottinghamshire Live, having been told that Councillor Barton was actually chosen as leader a week before Reform actually announced it. Nottinghamshire Live was told that the Nottinghamshire group of Reform councillors were informed of their original decision to choose a leader was, of course, not valid, as they needed to make that call at a meeting where the National Party officials were present. So bear in mind what that has just been admitted to and what Nottinghamshire has reported there, that these guys were not trusted to choose their leader unless the national organisation got their say on this. This basically confirms what I've been saying about that puppet master unit down in London that's going to control all these Reform councillors. One source said it looks like Farage is going to have an even tighter grip on his councillors than Starmer could even manage. This was, of course, all denied at the time by both Reform and Councillor Barton. When asked, of course, about the relationship the National Party had been like so far, the new leader said it's been very supportive, saying we all went down to London on Saturday for a training day. The networking piece of it was brilliant, meeting people from all over the country, fellow reformers. It was fantastic to see that we're growing and getting better. So basically, that's where they're going down to London. And of course, they're taking their marching orders from that office in London. Would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall for that, quote, training day. Most, of course, recent figures suggest that Councillor Barton will be entitled to a total salary of at least 56,000 now for being leader, whilst his deputy, John Dodd, can claim about 44,000. And all 8 of his cabinet members get 43,000. Given, of course, Reform's aim to save money at councils, Councillor Barton was asked whether he and his colleagues would be taking these full allowances. The leader said, I've put a cabinet together and I could actually put 7 deputy cabinet members together. So I've only now filled 2 of the posts. So I'm going to be saving them for when they're all ready. From our point of view, we need to see what skill sets we've got. Yeah, not a lot of experience to run, your council, have you? Anyway, I know roughly what skill sets we've got, but I want people to get to bed in their roles first. So we've already made some savings. What savings? By not putting people in important roles. But then again, that's a group decision. It's not just my decision. We'll be making all those decisions in the forthcoming weeks and months. Yeah, it's not just a group decision, as we've seen there. It is what the Reform unit down in London also says about that too. But it also gets even more interesting because this also got reported as well. So this is Reform, of course, says that Nottinghamshire County Council staff should not be worried after claims now some were in tears. So county council staff looks like they are incredibly worried. And I would be too, considering the stuff that Reform has been saying. So Reform is told Nottingham County Council staff that they have, quote, nothing to worry about after some of them were reportedly in tears when the party won control of the authority. Mick Barton, the new leader now of the Reform-run council, said it's now too early to say how home working arrangements for staff could change, as one councillor told employees are now in limbo. But remember, Farage said he's going to cancel all these council staff working from home. So they're in complete limbo. They don't know what's going to happen. Nigel Farage's party obviously secured the win in Nottinghamshire County Council. The party has now 39 councillors compared to the 17 of the Conservatives and just one for Labour, with 2 by-elections now during the coming months to fill now vacant seats. Gee, I wonder who left. Oh, that's right. It was the 2 Reform people. Anyway, one of those 2, of course, lost their seat in the election was Jason Zadrozny, who had served over nearly 20 years on the authority. Councillor Zadrozny, who now remains in charge of the Ashfield District Council, told Nottinghamshire Live that after the election, I've had senior officials now in tears on me today, saying that they are now looking for other jobs because they are terrified at the public services that they've worked for and cared for now being thrown out of the window. And yeah, they have every reason to worry about that. These concerns, of course, are now centered around the possible cuts to services, given Reform's aims across the country to make huge savings at the local authorities it now controls. Other issues include how working arrangements staff could obviously change. And that is the big thing. They are going to be cutting these services. It is inevitable they are going to be cutting these services, because this is what they've said they've done. They've already deployed a Doge unit down in Kent, and I believe there's another one in the Midlands. I think it's Staffordshire. I believe it is, where they've announced this post as well. So it is not too surprising. You will see more of these Doge or Doggle units get brought up. And when that starts to happen, they're going to start looking for things to cut. And that will be services, which is why all that council staff on Nottinghamshire Council very rightly worried. I think every single county council worker or council worker that has now a Reform government in charge of their local council has every right to be really worried about that. Nigel Farage, of course, told Nottinghamshire Live during the election campaign visit to the county that if Reform took over the council, home working would be banned. Staff pay would also now be reviewed, and staff not meeting targets would be fired. Asked if he would expect all council staff to work in the office every day of the week, Farage said yes, within reason, absolutely yes. But bear in mind, Reform UK is advertising numerous work from home positions. Hypocrites. Councillor Neil Clark, an opposition Conservative councillor, referenced this, of course, during the interview with Reform's full council meeting on Thursday. Councillor Clark asked what Farage meant by within reason and said that staff are now hanging in the balance and are in a state of limbo, not knowing what their arrangements are. Councillor Barton responded by saying, I was formally elected to be leader of this council earlier this meeting, so it is really too early for me to say. Basically, he ain't been told by that unit down in London what to do yet. My administration wants to spend time gathering information to order understand how best things work at the council and how we can improve these services for local people. When they say that, that is the snake oil being told, oh yeah, don't worry, we're just improving these services by cutting the funding. Anyway. Oh, hang on. So our members, of course, of council value our staff. They are very key assets for the council. We won't be able to continue to deliver essential services to local people, our communities, without the staff. We want to consider this matter very carefully, because before making these decisions, in order to get the balance right, we'll be looking at all avenues where we can change if needed. But staff have got no concerns from where I'm sat. Probably because you haven't received those orders yet from Farage. And oh boy, they will be giving you those orders eventually. Reform were, of course, asked about 9 different questions by the council on the Thursday's meetings, as well as about homeworking staff. Leaders were unable to give any answers, of course, on immigration, flags, funding for the A60, A614 project, solar farm applications, and of course, traffic issues now in West Bridgford. In all cases, the leader of the cabinet said that they had no time to look into any of these issues properly and were keen and had a keen open mind. Oh my word, you ran. These are all local issues that you should have answers to, and you've got no plan, no idea how any of that stuff is going to work. Anyway, the only questions, of course, the leader did not answer was when they were asked to congratulate those involved in the recent Nottinghamshire County Council show, which they, of course, did. And when they were asked if they would comply with equalities legislation, they said they would. I would be very worried if I was in Nottinghamshire County Council. I would be very worried. Indeed, I'd be worried, honestly, any council where these reform idiots are in charge, because once the doggle guys get their foot in the door, they're going to be going around asking you, yeah, can we cut funding here? Can we get rid of this? Do we have to provide this service? This is when all the stuff is now going to start to go wrong, because they're now all in charge. They're going to start being, like I say, dictated to by that unit down in London. This is when maybe friction could come in, because, hey, what if that unit goes, oh, yeah, by the way, lay off 1,000 council staff, Councillor Barton. What's he going to do? He's going to take his marching orders from Farage. Because Farage is going to say jump, and he's going to reply, how high? They all are. Make no mistake on that. Make no mistake of what you have just voted in. So, pay attention to your local politics, especially if you've got a reform council in your area, because otherwise you're going to find things get quite interesting. Very interesting indeed in your area. So, as always, if you do live in Nottinghamshire, you have my sympathies. Let me know what you think about all this stuff going on in your area down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.